Hello, my name is Alysia Brown, and I'm here today to talk about my company, Free Run. We produce athletic shoes in both the private sector, the wholesale sector, and on the internet markets. I am the sole runner of my company, and I'm just here to talk a little bit about how we run everything and how we did these past 8 years. So the overall evaluation of my company, of course, I'm not trying to sugarcoat everything. We did come in last for the industry over the past 8 years. And, so our overall outcome hasn't been one of success. But what I really want to show you today are the problems that my company faced, the decisions behind those problems, and what I did to cause them, and then the future actions that I'm going to take as a leader of my company to increase the market share and increase our profits and our industry standing. So, what are the big problems that Free Run has faced so far? There's going to be two ones that I'm going to focus on during this presentation, and I'm going to go into those a little deeper. So number one is going to be our manufacturing cost. So we're above industry average overall, and there's a lot of reasons for that, to which I'll go into later. And second is going to be the decreased market share because of some of the decisions we've made behind the scenes with our pricing and with our quality level. So the first of the two problems we're going to tackle today is going to be the manufacturing cost of our plants. If you want to take a moment and look over at the slides for the manufacturing cost over time, this graph right here is is my company Free Run's manufacturing cost versus the industry average for the North American plant. Our other plant tells the same story as well. So we were pretty much on set for the first 5 years with the industry average, sometimes a little bit lower, sometimes higher, but pretty much right there. The only problem with that is going to be that my SQ rating for all of the shoes was 1 star lower. So in terms of processing and manufacturing, I should have been below the industry average, but I was right there. In years 14 and 15, you can see that my manufacturing cost took a spike, although it was along industry average. That would be because I actually sold off capacity on my factories for those 2 years, and that of course was detrimental to me and raised my manufacturing cost overall. Now in the years 16 and 17, my cost slowed down a little bit. It did lower, and the reason that it was still higher than industry average was because of the fact that I had actually increased my models in both locations. Okay, so now we're going to head over to our market share, which of course is going to be a huge factor in us not having our sales up and not selling as much as we want to. So you're going to see here just a few things. First, that overall we have been generally low, so there has been increases in both the internet and wholesale marketing from time to time that we've gone above 20%. So that's pretty good. Now, what happened in years 13 through 15 is going to be a huge factor in my company. And there's a few things that I personally did wrong here. So one is, again, I kept my SQ rating lower than the industry average, but I didn't reflect my price. So what had happened was I was pricing around the same along with the industry, but their product was better. So it was getting sold out, and I was drastically losing my market share because of it. Now look, you can see that we hit the bottom in year 15. That was pretty much rock bottom on all markets for us. Now, especially in the internet sales, the internet market share, we've been rebounding back since year 15, and I've increased the model size and have a more competitive pricing structure. Okay, so now with the wholesale market share, you can see that it's really been all, kind of all across the board. I have generally done better in the Asia Pacific markets as well as the Latin America markets. The Europe and North America has always been a struggle for me, and again, that's really down to pricing and quality, as well as lower advertising levels. Now you can see here that in years 17, I've lowered, so I was on the upward trend in the markets, and in year 17 I kind of went back down, and that would be because I had a lot of stock outs all across the board, and so I wasn't producing enough. Okay, so you guys have heard me mention years 13 through 15 a lot. And noticing the graphs and noticing my profits, you're definitely gonna see where I went wrong. And those were the years that I went from being a pretty good company to losing profits and market share really fast. And here's what I did. So again, I did sell the manufacturing capacity for my plants, and that really kind of ruined my manufacturing level and the output that was given. And I also just made some bad instinctual decisions. I increased my prices around the board while my competition was lowering theirs. So that didn't help at all, because especially they were still producing a better product than I was. So while I increased my prices, they lowered theirs, and I lost a ton of market share at that point. Now, thirdly, what I did is I had actually upgraded my North American plant to be able to produce more models, and I wasn't taking advantage of that at all. I was still producing around 150 models per factory and per region, and what I could have done is I could have increased that and got my sales up and drove my product more. Some neglectful decisions that I made in Latin America during those key years led me to increase my market share, of course, like we saw in the last slide, but I was losing money due to those manufacturing costs and due to the currency. Okay, so I know that we talked about a lot of mistakes that I had made running this company for these years, but I also want to mention something that's going generally good for us. So overall, we are a profitable company. We have increased our profits over the last 8 years. So, while other companies have outsold us, that of course I'm not going to lie about, we have seen our profits increase. There have been, minor drops in profits whenever we upgraded our plants or we paid off some debts, but generally it's going up and it's going in the right direction. So here's what I'm doing in the next. So here is how we're getting back on track. So I mentioned years 13 and 15 a lot. So years 15 to 17 have been really good for us. So we've decreased our manufacturing costs. It's still high, but it is a downward slope. To do that, we've cut back on environmentally friendly materials, and that just kind of lowers our material cost and helps us out a little bit. And we're also operating at full capacity. Now, again, while my sales prices were higher than the average with the SQ rating, now we've gotten those more in line. So we're at 7 stars right now, and we are selling lower than the competition. So this is going in the right direction, and it's really upward slope, both on profits and on the general market share of the company. So first, I am going to correct my mistake and build back capacity in both of my plants to get us running really well and be able to manufacture the product that people want. Secondly, I'm going to increase our efficiency by investing more in our workers. So I'm going to help reduce the churn rate and getting them to work and be really productive. Thirdly, I am going to increase our models to 500 all across the board, and that's going to really help me take advantage, and especially when we have more capacity, we're going to be able to manufacture that many models and drive up our sales dramatically. And for. I'm going to focus more on the internet sector. I feel like that's something that a lot of companies don't necessarily think about, and it's kind of an underrated company. So my market shares have generally been good for the internet sector, and I'm going to keep it that way, and I'm really going to be more aggressive about it. And then lastly, of course, I am going to continue to steadily pay dividends and keep our debts down and really get our image rating up and keep our risk low. So I want to continue to keep our default risk low for loans in case we do need capital for any more adjustments. And then, of course, so this is my big scheme of things. I am wanting to increase the quality level of shoes, but only after the manufacturing costs have lowered. So we're gonna, need to be able to afford to produce high-level shoes, and we're gonna be able to do that. So that's gonna be my next 5 years. Just thanks so much for the time. I really hope that you understood my company a little bit better, and I really enjoyed this experience. Thanks so much.